Does anyone know who the patron saint of donkeys is? Anyone know the patron saint of donkeys? Do you know who's the patron saint of donkeys? Okay, well, everyone after this homily will remember for the rest of your lives who the patron saint of donkeys is, okay? So imagine the year is 1229, long time ago, and the place is Padua, Italy. Okay, Padua, Italy. And your name is Anthony. Okay? You are one of the Franciscans. You are St. Anthony, St. Francis of Assisi's protege. Like, you are the one that everyone looks to because St. Francis has just passed away and you're his successor. So everyone looks to you. Your name is Anthony of Padua. And people come from all around Europe to hear you talk about God. And you're known to do crazy things to try to convince people that God is real. And so one day, Anthony celebrates Mass, and there's a lot of commotion in the back of the church. And someone runs up to you and says, Anthony, there's a man outside. He's riding around on this donkey, and he's telling everyone to stop coming to church because Jesus is not present in the Eucharist. What are we going to do? And so you're Anthony, and so you're in your priest's vestments, and you walk outside, and you meet this man, and you see this man. He's on top of a donkey, and you say, okay, let's figure this out. Let me try to convince you that Jesus is present in the Eucharist. And so you're Anthony, and you talk to this man named Bonillo. You're going back and forth for 2 hours, trying to convince this man. And at the end of the 2 hours, Bonillo, he says, no, I don't believe you. And so what would you do if you were Anthony? You're trying to convince this man that Jesus is really present in the Eucharist. You know, it looks like bread, it tastes like bread, feels like bread. To all of our senses, it just seems like bread. But Anthony knows because Jesus himself said that Jesus is really present in the Eucharist. So what would you do if you were Anthony? What would you do? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Pray to God and tell God to do something about it. Oh, okay. I'll take one more guess. Oh, those are good ideas. Because, yeah, in the Bible, we see many times in which Jesus says that he's present in the Eucharist. But St. Anthony, he liked to do crazy things to try to convince people. So, picture this man, he's on top of a donkey. And he says, what if I could convince the donkey that Jesus is present in the Eucharist? Would you believe me? He says, what do you mean, convince the donkey? He says, if I could get that donkey to fall down on his knees and adore Jesus in the Eucharist, would you believe me that Jesus is present? So he says, okay, how are you going to do that? Here's the game plan. 3 days from now, we'll meet back outside of this church. It's a huge market square. And here's what we'll do. I'll have the Eucharist on one side over here, and you can have a pile of hay on the other side, the donkey's favorite food. And we'll place the donkey in the middle, and if the donkey goes over to the Eucharist, then it must be Jesus in the Eucharist. He must be present. But if the donkey goes over to the hay, then Jesus is not present in the Eucharist. And so Bonillo says, okay, the contest is on. And so Bonillo, he's a sneaky guy. What he does is he starves the donkey for 3 days, and he makes him smell the hay for 3 days, doesn't give him a little bit of food, so the donkey is just starving. St. Anthony, what did he do? He went to the forest for 3 days and fasted and prayed to God for 3 days to work a miracle. So they gather back together after 3 days in the market square, and there are thousands and thousands of people together. And so they put this donkey in the middle. Bonillo waves some hay in under his nose, and then he walks over there, and there's a huge pile of hay on one side. And St. Anthony comes out of the church on the other side, holding the Eucharist, and the contest is on. And so the donkey looks over at the hay, and he starts slowly, because he's so tired, slowly going over to the hay. And then St. Anthony, he has the Eucharist, and he says, "Donkey, I command you in the name of the Lord our God to come here and worship your Creator." So the donkey's going like this, and as soon as he hears it, he stops, he turns around, and he goes right over to the Eucharist, and he goes down on all four of his knees and bows down, worshiping Jesus. In the words of Shrek, "That'll do, donkey, that'll do." Yes. It's a true story. If you go to Padua, Italy, there's a statue of a donkey on all fours, bowing down in front of the Eucharist. And Bonillo obviously converted that day. He came back to church, and he became Catholic, and many, many people converted. And throughout all of the church's history, there are lots and lots of miracle stories like this. Because every now and then, God works a little miracle to remind us that Jesus is actually really present in the Eucharist. When you come and receive him in Holy Communion, you're not receiving bread. You're receiving a real person. This is the most special encounter, the most special moment of your life, in which the person who created the whole world, the person who created donkeys, is hiding underneath what looks to be a little piece of bread, because he loves us. And he does extreme things like hide himself under a little piece of bread because he wants to get inside of our hearts. And because it's so hard to believe, every now and then he works a miracle, like getting a donkey to go down on all fours so that we remember that Jesus is actually present in the Eucharist. And so I want all of you to pay really special attention during the Mass, when you see the Eucharist, when you come up to receive Holy Communion, to remember, okay, if a donkey can do it, I can do it as well, right?